going on 4 years. And for those who haven't heard the story of China, 4 years ago, last month, May of 2018, I was arrested and interrogated and eventually deported from China for our mission work in China that we've been doing for 14 years or so. And so the Lord brought that season to an end. I mean, the police did what they did, but the Lord knew what he was doing in all of that. And the Chinese police deported me, but I like to say that the Lord exported us from China to Peru for this season. And we're Chinese exports. Not all Chinese exports are bad things, right? And we're in Peru, and we're serving. Peru has lots of Chinese exports too. They love the cheap Chinese stuff. And but we're not that. So we're there to serve and to be a blessing to the nation there. And so with that in mind, I'm not going to share, we don't have any fresh updates from China. You guys know the China news right now. It's still crazy and closed down mostly. Pray for China. Pray that God would open those doors. I will probably have one more thing to say about China here in a little bit. At the very end, I've got one particular prayer request for China, but I'll save that probably for the very, very end. But we've been in Peru, and there's all kinds of opportunities. When I was here last, which by myself was just last December, I think, I shared about the highest city in the world, I believe. And it's a place that we were visiting and going to. And I'll quickly share an update. In December, we had been going 3 months in a row to this city. And actually, we were about to take the third trip in 3 months. And evangelizing, ministering in this high altitude place that's 16,000 feet above sea level. Hard to breathe, hard to walk, hard to do anything at that altitude. Just a crazy, difficult, dirty, nasty place. It's a mining town. There's sewage running in the streets, prostitution and drunkenness just open in the morning, from morning to evening, just out sitting on the side of the roadways. Really crazy place. But the Lord gave us, countless opportunities to preach and to minister to people there in that city. In January, on our fourth trip back, the plane, the flights, the airlines changed the dates for the flights at the last minute, and we had to change our dates. But it turned out for the better. We ended up going on a weekend instead of on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the team and I. And on the weekend, on Sunday, there is a little church in town. Well, there's a church building, but for years I had never seen it open. It was always locked shut. It was always closed. And this day I said, well, before we start to go evangelize in the plaza, let's go see if the church, maybe someone's at the church. And I walked up the hill, little hill, but long walk because it's slow going at 16,000 feet. You're trudging up around the corner. And I look up on the little hill, and sure enough, the door is open in this little church, and which is an answer to prayer. And I said, well, there's somebody there. Let's go up and see. And it's not very far up, but it's a long trek just to get up the little tiny hill at that altitude. We went up there, and there were 2 people in the church. 2, a lady and a man, probably both middle-aged people. And we started talking to them, and long story short, they shared their story with us. We shared our story with them of having prayed for that city and been looking for believers and Christians to encourage there. And their story was this, that since COVID had started about 3 years previous, they had stopped meeting. They were from 2 different little churches. Both had shut their doors, and the pastor of pastors had left for whatever reason or another. There was no pastors and nobody. And that Sunday, that particular day that we happened to be there, was their first attempt to gather again as a little church. One person representing each of these 2 churches in this building to gather. And there was just the 2 of them sitting there singing a hymn and reading and reading the Bible and praying. And we joined. There were 3 of us, so we went from 2 to 5 real quick and had a little worship service there together. And then we started saying, well, every time we come back, every month now, we're going to visit these people and we're going to encourage them. And from what I hear, that's growing every week and every month. We haven't been back since March because the airport has closed the runway in that city for repairs, which is a good thing. And but Lord willing, I'll be back there in less than a month. The plan is that I'll be there on, I think it's July 16th is the date that I'm supposed to be back with 4 other people. So pray almost a month from now that I'll be back in that city again, and we'll be able to follow up with those people. So pray for the highest city in the world in Peru. The other place that we've been recently is she's been in the jungle of Peru, and she's going to share a little bit about that and show you a cool video that I haven't even seen yet. When we left on this trip, my kids and I left Oklahoma on May 27th, a little over 4 weeks ago. No, 3 weeks ago. I don't know what day we are. 3 weeks ago. We left and headed west and eventually made a big loop around, and now we're here in the north. But the day we left on our trip, she arrived back in port after a 2-week boat trip on the Amazon with 200 other missionaries preaching and the gospel and healing the sick all along the Amazon River basin. So she arrived back the day we left, and then she flew and met us a few days later in Seattle. So she's been with us for the last 2 weeks, but she's going to share a little bit about that.
Yes. The mission trip I was part of, it's called Rivers of Fire. And yes. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you all for adopting us as your missionaries. We've always, whenever we were in China, we always knew you guys were praying for us. You guys, we were always communicating with Pastor. And so that's just, it was a great blessing for us while we were, freezing a lot of times during the cold winters in Tibet. But, and now being here, it's kind of surreal. I get to see you all, and I haven't seen you since my kids were this big, right? And now they're all grown up. My son is 16 years old. Ariel is, my son Gabriel, Ariel is 15, and my youngest is 13 now. And today I just adopted a Grandma Margie. She came up and talked to me, and at the end of the service, please come talk to us, and we want to hear about what God is doing in your life as well. But yeah, let me share about Rivers of Fire. That's the name of the missions trip. We started out in Iquitos, which is a city in the middle of the Amazon forest, town of 1 million people. There's only access through by plane or by boat because it's right in the middle of the heart of the Amazon. So you can't get there by road because there's rivers connecting, lots of rivers. So revival is happening in Peru, in the city of Lima. Or the pastor that we work with in Peru, he started visiting this church about 2 years ago, and with that vision, he received a vision of that God was going to do this. People in 2019, there were a lot of missionaries that came to Peru, and they blessed Peru, and they prophesied over Peru that they said that Peru was going to be a land of awakening spiritually. And so the pastors took that word here in Iquitos especially, and we believe this is just the beginning where revival is going to start, and then it's going to spread to other areas of Peru. But by the end of our 12-day trip, which started up in Iquitos, we gathered up and we held up a meeting in the city of Iquitos, and we counted up. It was a day of celebration and counting up the harvest that we've seen through 5 days that we've been going in ministry in different towns along the Amazon River. And I'm just going to share the numbers with you. We counted 9,500 souls reported faith, right? I'm sorry, my English is not helping me. Gave to life to Jesus. Amen.
Yeah.
694 got baptized. And you're going to see that in the video. You're going to see a lot of kids being baptized, a lot of people getting baptized. And this is not just numbers for us. As we were worshiping, a few of the stories, testimonies came to mind. One was the very first day that we were in the city of Yurimaguas. One of our team members told us that he was led by the Spirit to go and speak to this man that was about to commit suicide. And he gave his heart to the Lord. Another girl in the third day, the third city that we were reaching, told us that the Lord gave her a dream, and she saw this little girl in her dream, and she had a burden to pray for her. So in the third day that we arrived in the city of Maipuco, it was during the night that we were having our event. So each day we will, each town that we went, we would go, door to door and talk to people, pray for people, and invited them for the event that we were gonna help at nighttime. And so she saw this little girl, and it was the same girl that she was saw in her dreams. And so she prayed for her, and it came to find out that this little girl, about 6 years old, was being abused by her dad. And so at the end of the event, they were able to go with her and go meet her grandmother. Her grandmother lives with her, and she had no clue what was going on in her house. So these are just two stories, but we saw the lame walk, we saw the deaf recover their hearing, we saw the blind recover their sight. So these are just testimonies, guys, that you can read it. There's in my husband's blog, you can read a link that tells what I just told you with more detail, and also about the vision and about rivers of fire. And so here's a little tip. There's a song in the background. The song is called Isaiah 61. So you can just worship God as you listen to the song and see the clips and pictures. The Lord bless you. The sound will come in just a second.
Yeah.
I can narrate for now. That was the boat on the river. That's a guy playing guitar. We will see power. We will see light, the fire again. We will see you. We will see your name. We will see a revival in our land. We will see your glory. We will see your power. We will see your light, fire again. We will see your move. We will see your goodness. We will see your revival in our land. We will see your glory. We will see your power. We will see your light, fire again. You will come and have your way. This generation, cover the nations. Let every tribe and tongue confess. You the God of salvation, Lord of creation. We will see you. We will see you. We will see you. We will see your glory. We will see your power. We will see your light, the fire again. We will see your move. We will see your goodness. We will see your revival in our land. We will see your glory. We will see your power. And we will see your light, the fire again. Your light, the fire again. Your light, the fire again. Light, the fire again. Your light, the fire again. So won't you come and have your way?
Desperate time means the